What's going on, guys? So I want to answer a question I see a lot, a question I asked, and I never really found a good answer for. So this is my tiny boat I've been working on here, decking out. It's an all-electric reservoir setup. So I'm running trolling motors on the front and the back. It is my only source of propulsion. That's how I get around on the lakes. And my question was, how fast will a trolling motor get me? If I ran 2 trolling motors, will that make me go faster? If I ran various different pound thrust, different volts, will it get me there faster? How would it improve? Etc. Long story short, all trolling motors go the same speed. If you were, and that's what everybody's going to tell you, if you go, your max speed is going to be probably maybe 6.5 miles an hour. Right around that range, more or less. But if you have a trolling motor on your boat and you run full speed, you know you don't hit 6.5 miles an hour, most likely. So the way I put it, the way I can tell it to where it visually might make sense to you, is imagine you are pushing a car in neutral down a flat road alone. So you're pushing this car, and you're capable of going 10 miles an hour, more or less. But when you're pushing this car alone, I mean, you may be going 2 miles an hour. Bring 2 more people along, and all of a sudden you're getting that car up to 5, 6 miles an hour, maybe. You know. Bring a bunch more people, and now all combined, you're finally able to hit that 10 mile an hour mark. And that's essentially what adding trolling motors or going to a higher pound thrust is doing. You're just finally able to achieve that maximum speed. So on this particular boat, I had a 55 pound thrust on the rear and a 55 pound thrust on the front. When I ran only the rear trolling motor on a full charge, I got 2 3/4, 2.75 miles per hour max. That was on a full charge. End of the day, it was closer to 2. If I ran both 255 pound thrust trolling motors, I was getting 3 1/4 miles an hour, 3.25, more or less. And so I noticed there's definitely an improvement. It wasn't significant. Then I replaced my 55 pound thrust with 112 pound thrust. And now I'm going 4.5 miles an hour with just one motor. And so if I was to add 2 or 3 112 pound thrust motors, I can probably get very close to that 6 mile an hour mark, potentially. But at a certain point, I mean, if I were to add 4 or 5 112 pound thrust trolling motors to my boat setup right now, it really wouldn't make much of a difference, and at a certain point it wouldn't make any difference at all. You're just adding a ton of weight in batteries. So as far as speed, that's basically how it works, in my opinion. I mean, there is some kind of calculation you can run to come up with a speed, and I feel like it's never really accurate. I don't remember the math. But the other thing to consider is your battery life. Or you might not want to go the max speed you can, because you're going to lose distance, essentially. So 55 pound thrust trolling motors are the fastest 12 volt trolling motor, but they are also the highest amp draw. So you're going to kill a battery way faster with 55 pound thrust at full speed than you would with, say, a 45 or a 35 pound thrust, where that's going to take you a lot longer. And also when you're jumping from 24 volt to 36 volt, that's going to make a difference in your capacity as well. So that's just something I wanted to mention. No one really ever explained to me. I asked these people who their jobs were to make trolling motors, and all they did was sell trolling motors, and they just told me all trolling motors go the same speed. When that's true, but it's not, because there's many variables. So take that into consideration when you're trying to come up with a plan for your build, what size motor you want to run, if you're going to run multiple. And I contemplated between 2 80 pound thrust 24 volts versus one 112 pound thrust 36 volt. And I did the math. The cost was going to be very similar, just a little bit more with 280-pound thrust. But I ended up getting a good deal on my 112-pound thrust motor, which is why I went that route. But I think I probably would have picked up a little bit more speed going with the two-motor method. So that's all I have for you. Let me know what your experience, the size of your boat, if it's decked out or not, and what size motor you're running, and your speed. It's something a lot of people are curious about, and it'd be cool to have a nice little database for people to look into. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you stick around for some more videos. I bring them out as I can. I'm in the middle of this build. Once I finish, I'll start uploading all of that stuff. So thanks. See you later.